Guys, today I'm going to be talking about something that is kind of a personal story, but I thought that by doing this video, maybe it would help someone who might be going through this or that has gone through this in the past, and is still kind of dealing with the aftermath, kind of like I am. My husband and I have been together for, this will be our 9th year together, and we'll be together 4 years married. So we've been together 9 years, but married 4 this year. And right when we met, we kind of delved into this whole, parenthood thing kind of quickly. So we had our daughter Madison, who is now 8, so you can do the math on that. But we had Madison really soon into our relationship. Very unexpected. I was 22 years old when I got pregnant. She was born. Everything was great. I had a normal pregnancy. Just, I was sick a lot. Never actually vomited, but I was nauseous pretty much the whole pregnancy. She came. She was great. She was wonderful. So I would say starting in, I don't know, late 2013, early 2014, my husband and I have decided that we wanted to try to have another baby. Honestly, I felt like I wasn't done, I wasn't done having kids, and that's a lot of, women have that motherly instinct. I didn't have it right away when I had Madison. I was still very young, and I was scared, but as I grew up, I pretty much grew up with Madison. I was so young. I was a very young mom, and I really wanted to have another baby. We both wanted to have another baby. We weren't sure if we wanted to have more than one more or just one more to make it 2. But we knew we wanted to have one. So we started trying to get pregnant in, I would say, early 2015. 14, sorry. So, we went through so many negative pregnancy tests, and for a couple that can be so heartbreaking. I didn't really, tell people that we were trying to have the baby because I didn't want people to ask, how's it going? Are you pregnant? Blah, blah, blah. When are you going to have, people ask anyway, when are you going to have another baby? When is it? And that's just frustrating as it is. So, we tried, and then, after a while, my friends were like, a few close friends that I were talking to about it, saying, maybe something's wrong. Maybe you should, go to the doctor, because with Madison, I felt like it happened. And, it just wasn't happening. So, and my periods have always been very irregular ever since Madison. Ever since she was born, they've been very irregular. Sometimes we would get so excited because I would miss my period, and it would not come for that month, and I would think that, this is it, I'm pregnant. But, then it would come the next month. So it was very sad. It was kind of a sad time. We were getting so, frustrated, and, everyone says, once you least expect it, when you stop trying, it will happen. So finally, I took the advice of my friend, and then I made an appointment with her OBGYN, her gynecologist. And made an appointment with her, and I wasn't, nervous or anything. I was just wanted to figure out what was going on and why we weren't getting pregnant. So I went in, and, she asked me all the questions. How long have you been trying? Do you have any other kids? All this backstory. And, when my periods were, last date of my, she had to go through all of the basics before we could, do anything. So, of course, she had to give me an exam because I hadn't had one in a very long time. So we did the exam, and Of course, they send them out and, usually get some sort of result back saying everything's good down there or something's a little off. So you're going to notice that I'm in a different position, different area. My husband ended up coming home and we just ended up going out to eat. So that's why I kind of cut it off right there. But to get back to where I was, she called me and said it had come back abnormal. So that's, what happens to a lot of women. Their first paps come back abnormal. So I ended up going in for what they call a colposcopy. So then she ended up calling me, and again saying, the colposcopy came back abnormal. So after that, I had to go in for a surgical procedure where I actually had to get, anesthesia, and basically I didn't feel anything. They go in, they get a really, in-depth biopsy. Obviously you have to be sleeping because it's pretty painful. I had to remember before, it was definitely before Christmas because it ruined my Christmas pretty much, to be honest. So about 3 or 4 days before Christmas, she called me again, but this time it was at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I actually missed the call, and she ended up leaving me a voicemail, and she said, "Hi Jillian, this is Dr. So-and-so. I would like to have you in the office either today or tomorrow to discuss the procedure," or something along those lines. I don't remember the exact words. So I was like, that's weird. So I called the office back, and they told me that she wasn't working today. I was like, how is she not working today? She just left me a message. And they said she was off. And I was like, okay, but she wants to see me today or tomorrow. So they're like, okay, well, we can schedule you for tomorrow. And I was like, okay. So they scheduled me for tomorrow, and I hung up. So I sat in my car, and I was like kind of upset. I'm like, what? If it was nothing, she wouldn't want to see me so urgently. That's what I kept saying to myself. So I called my mom, and I told her, and I said, she said today or tomorrow. She's like, well, why aren't you going in today? I said, because she's not even there. She called me on her day off. That was the red flag at first. She called me on her day off. So my mom said, why don't you call back, and then maybe they can contact her. So I called the office back. They paged her, and she called me back, and she said, you think you could come in today? I said, okay. So I go into the office. I am literally panicking at this point. I don't know what I was thinking. I was really nervous. I was like, why is she wasn't working today. Why did she call me? So I remember going in, my mom came with me, and we're sitting in the waiting room. All of a sudden I see the door open. Not the door that the doctor comes out to get the patients, the door that you walk into the office, like the ones that the patients use to come in from outside. So I see it open, and then I see her walk in with her stroller and one of her kids in a stroller, and one of them walking. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, she came in and just for me. It's like, this can't be good. Then she goes back. 5 minutes later, she comes out to the waiting room and gets us. So we go back, and we aren't taken to a, regular exam room. We're taken to her office. So I was like, I knew it. I knew something was not right because, just everything that was happening, all the tests that I had done, and, now we're sitting in her office. So I was like, oh. So she didn't waste any time at all. She sat down, and she said, you have cervical cancer. That's what she said. She said it right, and I could tell it was very hard. Let me just say, she didn't say it in a way that was like, you have cervical cancer. She said it very, like, she didn't know what to say. That was my face. I was just like, and my mom was like looking at me, and she started crying, and then I just burst out crying, and then the doctor started crying, and I was like, oh. It was just It was a moment that I will never, ever forget, because you never, ever think that that could happen to you. Ever. I never thought about it. I never... So, she ended up, we were talking for a long time, and she ended up referring me. At that point, we had no idea what the stage was, no idea how long I had it, or, how bad it was. So she ended up referring me to an oncologist in Boston. So I remember walking out of the room in the whole building with my mom, and I was just crying. And I had called my husband before I went, and he said, let me know as soon as you leave. And he was at work. And so I called my husband, and it just came out. I just told him, and he rushed right home. And I remember him coming in the door, and me sitting on the couch with my mom, and then him sitting next to me and just like hugging me, and I just started like crying like I have never cried before. This way down deep inside cry that I could not control. I was so scared. I never thought in a million years that anything like that would happen. So we spent the next few days like, in a daze, in a fog. Because you don't know until you go and you find out, how far along is it, what do you have to do. So I ended up seeing my oncologist in Boston. I ended up seeing him, and we had to do a series of things. I had to get, some injections. I had to get some scans, multiple scans. I had to wait for my insurance to approve them. It was just a long process. So I ended up getting all of the scans, and he ended up getting all of the information he needed. So the day that I had to go in there to talk about the options, talk about what my options were, was so nerve-wracking. Like, and all this is going on, and I'm still wanting so badly to have a baby. That was still like the whole reason why this all started, why I first went to the doctor. So that's still like in the back of my mind, like, what is gonna happen? Like, can I still have a baby? So we go in there, and even the appointments that I had before that, I didn't really touch on those. Those were just like, exams and talking about everything, and there were multiple appointments before this appointment. So we go in for this appointment, and he says, the hardest part of my job is telling young women like yourself, and then he said it doesn't happen often, because this really doesn't happen to young people quite often, and is telling them that they can't have any more children. And I was like, because I had asked him, I said, what's gonna what are the options? He said, we could just pray that it doesn't get worse, and you could try to have a baby and hopefully get through a full-term pregnancy, but that might not be possible at all. Like, he gave me all these factors, things that could happen, everything that he needed to tell me of a risk, he told me, or he said, you can have a full hysterectomy and be done with it, hopefully. So I was sitting in the room, and I said to him, I said, so this means, I'm not going to have any more babies. I'm done. And he said, yes, he said, I can't tell you what to do, but I can recommend what you do, and I can also, recommend you to someone that might take you down a different route. Meaning take a chance, which, when you think about it, I don't want to take a chance.